Well, welcome to worship this morning. I'm glad you're here. A couple of things in our announcements. Take a look at the prayers. Do you see that? Something funny in the prayers of the church here. What is it? Yep. You guys, many of you know that I'm a big fan of Duck Dynasty. And doesn't really matter if you like Duck Dynasty or not. Phil Robertson is the father of the whole gang, and he made some comments this week on homosexuality, and I wanted to let you know that the comments that he made were kind of phrased rather crudely. He's not a well-refined man, but basically what he was doing was paraphrasing Scripture. If you want to know what Phil Robertson said, if you look at the book of Corinthians or if you look at the book of Romans, you'll find that he was paraphrasing Scripture directly out of the Bible. And the media is going to crucify him. They are going to shame him. And I wanted to let you know that because there will come a day, and I don't know how far in the future it is, but there will come a day when you say something about the Bible, we too will be crucified by those around us and by the media. So now, ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to make up your mind. Is the Bible true in all that it says, or is it a book of lies? Well, I've done it again. I drove over here from Alexander, and guess where my book is, my sermon? It's in the car. Guess where my car is? My son took it home. So what do you want to talk about today? Well, in our gospel reading this morning, we hear that Joseph was betrothed to Mary. Now, I don't think any of us were betrothed, were we? It's kind of an old word and one that we don't really know anymore. But betrothal was a little bit like an engagement. Now, when my wife and I were engaged, what did that mean? Well, it meant that we were going to be married someday, and that we would always, during that engagement, probably the most important thing during the engagement is, I will be faithful. I won't mess around, right? That's what an engagement is. It's a promise saying that I will be faithful to the one I am going to marry, and I will have no other. Well, that's basically what a betrothal is. Now, that many years ago, I'm going to tell you something that's a little shocking. In a betrothal, you know how it works today, don't you? A young boy meets a young girl, they fall madly in love, they get together, they decide, they date, they decide that they should get married, and of course they live happily ever after. That's how it works. But in that feeling of love, we know that love is blind, that the couple will say anything or do anything to show their love for each other. In a betrothal, believe it or not, the marriage is not falling madly in love with somebody. It's an arranged marriage. The father of the groom and the father and mother of the bride, they would set an arrangement where the young woman and the young man would marry. It was an arranged marriage. Now think about that for a minute. It doesn't sound like something that would be very good today, does it? Well, maybe it would be. Maybe it would be. Because, today, what we see on television, what we hear in the movies is boy meets girl, they fall madly in love, and it's just perfect, and it's just all about feelings, isn't it? You have to feel like you're in love. The old way of betrothal were when a young boy and a young girl were arranged to be in marriage. They might not even like each other, but more often than not, they fell in love, living together. When we go to a funeral, we hear that Jesus has gone to prepare a place for us. You remember those words? And in betrothal, the young man probably didn't have much money. And so what would happen was the young couple were betrothed or engaged, and the young man would go back to his father and mother's house, and he would add on a room because he didn't have enough to buy a house. So he would add a room to his father's house. When we do a funeral, that's what we mean, that Jesus Christ has come to claim us. Jesus is betrothed to you. Now, you may not feel too excited about that at times. You may not feel this mad, passionate love for Jesus. It's a betrothal. It's an arranged marriage. You have been chosen. You have been betrothed to Jesus Christ. And there will come again a day. Jesus has now gone to prepare a place for us. There will come a day when Jesus will come back and will claim us as his beloved. You may not feel it. You may not be all that excited about it, but it will happen if you believe in Jesus Christ. He has gone to prepare a place. He will come again.